It's official. The Rams 53-man roster has been released today, and we have a bunch of surprising roster moves to get into. And who are some players that could be on this practice squad who were cut? All that and more on this episode of Rams Digest. And welcome back to another episode of Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Finehirsh. And before we head into today's video, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Everyone has been awesome with the subscriber count. We have been gaining subscribers each and every day, so we thank everybody for that over here at the Rams Digest channel. But if you want to be on the road to 5K subscribers with us, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now and click the notification bell. Click all so you get notified and never miss whenever we post our daily new Rams Digest video content. And leave a like on this video right now for regular season prep officially being underway. And now to our main story, and really our only story of today's video, the 53-man roster. We're going to go over, I'm going to give you my opinions on certain moves that I found quite surprising, so make sure to stay tuned to the end for all the moves. And we need to get into this right now, and this is from the Rams.com. Let's get it started right now. We're just going to head right into the roster. At quarterback, we have no surprises here. Matthew Stafford, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Stetson Bennett. The Rams carry 3 quarterbacks on the initial 53-man roster. This room is deeper and more experienced thanks to re-signing Garoppolo earlier this offseason, as well as the extended reps Garoppolo and Bennett got during training camp and this preseason joint practices while Stafford was sidelined with his back injury. Yeah, I totally agree. This is what the quarterback room should look like. You can have the argument whether Bennett or Garoppolo should be the backup. I would slightly lean Garoppolo just because he's started in games. And say what you want, he started in a Super Bowl. I don't think he led his team to the Super Bowl, but he started in a Super Bowl, and that does matter for a backup on a contending team, which is definitely important. All 3 of these guys, I do feel confident. Obviously, we feel confident in Matt Stafford. That's no questions asked, but I do feel confident in both guys going into a game and being ready to play, knowing the offense, knowing their role and exactly what they need to do to succeed. So quarterback room looks all good here to me. And now here is where a bit of a shocker comes in with the running backs. We got Kyren, Blake Corum, and Jarquez Hunter, only keeping 3. LA will have 3 running backs on its initial 53-man roster in back-to-back years. Williams, who signed a 3-year contract extension earlier this month, returns coming off back-to-back seasons with over 1,100 rushing yards and double-digit rushing touchdowns. Corum has looked like the player the Rams saw during his junior and senior seasons at Michigan, and Hunter adds a downhill, tough-running element to the group in addition to his speed. Yeah, I like all 3 of these guys. I want to see all 3 of these guys get carries, especially Jarquez Hunter. I really want to see how Jarquez Hunter is going to be used in this offense because he was running through dudes all throughout preseason there. And obviously, Kyren Williams being the bell cow of this offense, hopefully that fumbling issue, and he can have a little bit more of explosive plays. Hopefully he has worked on that this offseason to be a true elite running back 1. And Blake Corum looks a lot better this preseason than he did last year, so he's improved, and this could be a nice 3-headed monster for the Rams. But the main thing we need to get into here is the surprising cut of Cody Schrader. Everyone in the comments has been loving Cody Schrader. I got more and more sold on him as this preseason went on. He was running hard. He was breaking tackles, too. He showed a nice escapability there out on the run. Had a great career in Missouri. A guy who was on the team last year. Again, we talk about the practice squad. Just so that you all know, the Rams can start filling their practice squad starting tomorrow. There are 16 practice squad spots available. So some will be from guys that they cut, and some will be guys that they pick up. So we'll see how that goes. But Cody Schrader, to me, is definitely a guy that I think practice squad immediately. Or he's going to get picked up by another team's practice squad or somewhere else. I am a bit confused why they cut Cody Schrader. I get you don't necessarily need 4 backs, but I do think you should keep one on the practice squad because we've seen teams need to go to desperate times for running backs sometimes during the season, and you want to have a guy like Schrader there on the practice squad. Leave in the comments down below whether or not you agree with this cut, because I certainly don't. I think he should have been on the active roster, because even a guy like Jordan Waters on the practice squad, he looked pretty good in that final preseason game. Could be good as well, but I would keep Cody Schrader over Jordan Waters. But these 3 guys are all going to make an impact for the Rams this year. These 3 guys definitely should be on this roster. Now going over to the wide receiver room, you got Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Tutu Atwell, Jordan Whittington, Kanata Mumpfield, and Xavier Smith. Like quarterback, there's a wide range of depth and experience in this group as well, be it multiple seasons in the NFL or operating in the Rams offense. Aside from the obvious exception of the rookie Mumpfield, each player in this group has played at least 15 games in their NFL career, nearly a full season's worth. Yeah, definitely. These guys have been really good. Again, Xavier Smith with an absolutely awesome performance throughout this entire preseason, really solidifying that last wide receiver spot kind of early on in the preseason. Wasn't really even a competition. Again, Tutu Atwell's in for a make or break year. I expect to see a lot of him featured, especially early on in this Rams offense. And at receiver, there really wasn't anyone else challenging. I thought my guy Mario Williams can maybe challenge. He unfortunately got hurt, so the Rams had to release him. But a receiver who I also think could be on the practice squad is Brennan Presley. He had that great catch against the Chargers to help set up that game-winning touchdown pass to True Edwards, who was also cut. But I think Brennan Presley showed a lot of promise. He kind of reminded me a little bit of Tavon Austin throughout that preseason, doing a little bit of those jet sweeps that McVay had Tavon Austin doing in those early tenure days here with the Rams. But again, Brennan Presley is a guy who I could see on this practice squad. You want guys on your practice squad who, if a guy gets hurt, they can come up for a game, they can make an impact if needed, and I certainly think Brennan Presley can make an impact if needed on the practice squad of this Rams team. Leave in the comments down below what your thoughts are on that. Brennan Presley was not going to make the roster over Xavier Smith, and I agree with the decision, but I definitely think it should be on the practice squad because I wouldn't be surprised if another team tries to pick him up and put them on their practice squad or maybe even their own roster as well. And now to the tight end room. You got an interesting combination here of Tyler Higbee, Colby Parkinson, Davis Allen, and Terrence Ferguson. The Rams go with 4 tight ends on their initial 53-man roster. General manager Les Snead said on the preseason broadcast last week the team had discussed using more 12 personnel this year. Carrying 4 tight ends suggests LA should have the depth to do it. Yeah, that's why you're keeping the 4 tight ends. Higbee, Allen, or Ferguson were safe. Davis Allen, by the way, awesome preseason. I think he might be more featured in the offense this year as well, but having these 4 tight ends really, really makes me believe as a Rams fan and now someone who covers the Rams that the 12 personnel is going to be coming out so much more here on this offense. All four of these guys, 3 of these guys have a ton of experience in the McVay offensive system, and Terrence Ferguson seemed to learn it pretty quickly, running that nice little fade route in the preseason, a nice adjustment to the ball there for that great catch, and you saw him breaking tackles as well. Terrence Ferguson, I think, is the real deal here in the second round. I could see him starting off a little slow because he had the groin injury. First preseason game was the last one. Didn't get too many targets. Again, Dresser Wilm was his quarterback. And with Matthew Stafford, I'm sure he'll be getting more. But Terrence Ferguson, look out for him second half of the year. I think he is going to be absolutely awesome. And now to the offensive line. We got 10. Alaric Jackson, Steve Avila, Coleman Shelton, Kevin Dotson, Rob Havenstein, DJ Humphries, David Quisenberry, Bo Limmer, Justin Dedich, and Warren McClendon Jr. Excuse me there. The experience across the board in this group, as well as the signings of veterans Humphries and Quisenberry, made it very competitive and tough for newer players to break into. Each player in this group has played in at least 13 games in their career, and that's especially great for an O-line. I agree that all these guys should be on the roster. The Rams did trade KT Leviston to the Browns earlier, to the Browns earlier today to make some room for Justin Dedich to make the roster, which makes sense. You want to get something back for a player. I get it. Wishing him, KT, the best of luck over there in Cleveland. But Justin Dedich makes it. You could say, where's Willie Lampkin, our boy Willie? Unfortunately, he got waived with an injury designation as well. Maybe he stays on the practice squad if he's not going to be out for the entire year, because Kara Thomas, because he's on IR, is technically on the team for the entire year. It's good for him. That means he's going to get paid because it was a football injury, but unfortunately for Willie Lampkin, we don't know what the future holds for him yet. I do hope the Rams bring him back next offseason in training camp because he looked pretty good playing center. I mean, as we all know, I'm not a big Bo Limmer guy, and I think Willie Lampkin could even be better than Bo Limmer if he were to come back next year, but I do agree with all of these cuts here so far. And that is definitely the O-line for this Rams team here. As now we move on to the defensive side of the ball, but before we do, make sure to leave in the comments down below what your thoughts are on this offense overall, the offensive unit for the Rams, and how do you think they're going to do this year? Because I think they will be awesome as a unit. Stafford looking great in practice yet again yesterday and today. So far, no setbacks. We've still got a few more practices left to go to make sure he does have no setbacks to play in week 1. But Stafford's looking great. I think this unit is going to have a lot of consistency, a lot of continuity. Mike LaFleur heading into year 2 with a lot of these guys as the coordinator as well. So definitely something interesting to note. And now moving on to the D-line and the defense, you got Puka Nacua, Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk, Tyler Davis, Laurel Murchison, Juwan Johnson, and Ty Hamilton. The defensive line had a little bit of turnover again, but Turner and Fisk, a Defensive Rookie of the Year finalist last season who led the team in sacks with 8.5, Davis and Murchison are familiar faces, joined by veteran free agent Snead and D-tackle Puka Nacua, who drew praise for his run-stopping ability throughout training camp as well as the pass-rushing upside he showed. Yeah, Puka Nacua, I loved this signing when it happened. The Rams needed to get a run-stopper in there, and they did exactly that with Puka. I think he's going to be a great fit for this team. A guy where he's going to see ball, get ball. Or see ball, tackle the ball carrier, we should say. May not force a lot of fumbles, but that is okay. I have a cousin who's a Chargers fan, and he was texting me all about how he's very jealous we have Puka Nacua because he loved him as a Charger, and I think it is definitely going to be a great fit here on this Rams team. And something to note, though, both Murchison and Johnson are on this squad. Something we didn't think. We kind of thought it was a battle between Murchison and Johnson for that final defensive lineman spot. Johnson looked great in the final 2 preseason games. I thought he edged him out, but now I kind of see why Cody Schrader is not on this roster. I think it was to make room for Murchison and Desjuan Johnson to both be on this roster. So leave that in the comments down below. Your thoughts on both of them making the roster, because I did not think that would be the case, but it turns out that it is. And D coordinator Chris Shula said this month that he thinks of Davis like a starter. Regarding the rookie Hamilton, Shula said he is someone who continues to get better and better, and is a guy that puts his head down and goes to work every single day, and you see that those guys have really seen the potential in him and taken him under their wing. Johnson is listed as a defensive end, but saw snaps at outside linebacker late in the preseason. I mentioned that in yesterday's video as well, that I thought Johnson was maybe going to be an outside linebacker, be a 5th outside linebacker for this team. We thought keeping 5 outside linebackers. We'll get to that position group soon, because there is a shocking move there, so make sure to stay tuned for that one. But an interesting move, keeping both Johnson and Murchison, 2 guys who I think can make an impact, and Chris Shula saying that Davis looking like a starter is also a great fit for this Rams team, because Puka Nacua might be more of a 3rd down situation or a run play situation only type of guy, but he is so good at that given scenario. And now to outside linebacker, Jared Verse, Byron Young, Nick Hampton, and Josiah Stewart. The Rams will carry 4 outside linebackers on their initial 53-man roster, so it's status quo from that standpoint for this group, led by reigning Defensive Rookie of the Year Verse and Young, who had at least 7.5 sacks in each of his first 2 seasons. Although Stewart is currently in the concussion protocol, Shula, on August 13th, said he was someone who really showed up when the pads came on in training camp, praising his game day demeanor, toughness, and physicality. Shula said the coaching staff has loved the way Stewart has progressed. That is awesome. Hopefully, as I covered in yesterday's video, Josiah Stewart is on the concussion protocol like this article mentions. We don't know exactly how it happened. I still tried to find something on that. I looked in the comments, and you guys did not know either, which is okay. We will have to wait and see just how exactly this does play out. But for this Rams team, the main guy I want to focus on here is Nick Hampton. Nick Hampton did not look great in those preseason games. I thought for sure Brennan Jackson was going to get it over Nick Hampton. Kerr Thomas, before he got hurt, and he's now out for the year, also looked better than Nick Hampton in the preseason. So Nick Hampton's kind of maybe here by circumstance. Nick Hampton definitely gives effort every practice, obviously. He gives effort. He's in the weight room. He's being a good teammate. We know all that, but the results on the field were not great in the preseason. Jackson looked a lot better. Again, I don't know if Jackson's going to be on the practice squad as well, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to me if they're going to bring him back on the practice squad after cutting him. So definitely an interesting move here that Nick Hampton was kept on over Brendan Jackson. The other guys all make sense. Verse, Young, and Stewart are all going to have big impacts on this team this year. So, but leave in the comments down below your thoughts on Nick Hampton picking this roster and how he fits, because I don't know. He didn't really show out in the preseason like I believe the Rams wanted him to. So it is going to be a really interesting fit there for him throughout this entire season. And now to the inside linebackers. You got Nate Landman, Omar Speights, Troy Reeder, and Sean Dolak. Leave a like for Sean Dolak making the rosters as an undrafted free agent. We love to see it. Signed to a one-year deal earlier this offseason, Landman's leadership, communication, and ability to create takeaways stood out throughout OTAs and training camp. Speights played in all 17 regular season games, starting 10 of them as well as both of their playoff games, and established himself as a reliable tackler. Per PFF, he had only 4 missed tackles the entire season, plus and finished with the 5th highest tackling grade among rookies of 79.2. Yeah, Omar Speights is an awesome player. Nate Landman, by the way, might be the leader of this defense. I mean, Jared Verse is probably the defensive captain, if you want to put it that way, in terms of like the guy that people in the locker room will gravitate to. But Nate Landman looks like he's going to be wearing that green dot, and he's been looking pretty good doing so in practice for this Rams team. So that, and also Reeder brings an experienced voice to the room, having played 72 games, 37 starts with the Rams, while Dolak was the lone undrafted free agent signee from this year's group to make the initial 53-man roster. And linebacker coach Greg Williams told the Rams.com this summer that Dolak could teach you the defense right now, which speaks to how quickly he picked up the scheme. Yeah, look at Sean Dolak, man, so inspirational. Just really being that person, an undrafted free agent. We saw Spates do it last year with this Rams team, get on the team as an undrafted free agent, and now we have Sean Dolak doing the exact same thing, just making awesome moves. And the fact that he could teach you the whole defense right now just shows how hard he worked and shows how hard he's going to work as a Ram. And I was talking about this with my friends a little while ago, a couple days ago, and I was talking about Sean Dolak, and I kept telling him, please don't cut him, because I know he's going to get picked up, and not on a practice squad, on an actual team, someone's going to pick him up, and he's going to be great for them. So I'm very happy Sean Dolak found a way to stay on this team. But going back to this list, there's no Chris Paul Jr. My co-host Josh did make a video earlier today stating that Chris Paul Jr. was in danger of being cut, and I thought, okay, this is a rumor, it's not going to happen. And then I see the roster gets released a couple hours ago, and lo and behold, the Chris Paul Jr. is actually cut, a fifth round pick, something I did not see happening entering training camp. I thought it was Dolak, Reeder, and Reeder battling for that final spot. That's why I said when they cut Brennan Jackson was it to keep 5 linebackers for Troy Reeder and Sean Dolak to both make the team with Chris Paul Jr. But now that Chris Paul Jr. is not on this team, I really don't see why they cut Brennan Jackson. That also makes less and less sense every day. But having Chris Paul Jr. being cut, you couldn't trade him? You couldn't get anything for him if we weren't going to keep him on the roster? Maybe he's going to be back on the practice squad, but then yet again, I don't think I'd want to be back on the practice squad if I was just cut like that with that same team. I try to go to a different team that values, my effort a little bit more. And for Chris Paul Jr., he was a guy that both Josh and I really liked coming out of the draft. He was really the only linebacker they picked late in the draft. So I thought, okay, they really like this guy. He's going to play a big role, kind of like what Space did last year. But that's not the case. Leave in the comments down below what you think about this. And if you missed my co-host video, Josh, earlier today, make sure to go watch that after you watch this one. And now we get to the cornerbacks. You got 5. Akello Witherspoon, Darius Williams, Kobe Durant, Emmanuel Forbes Jr., and Josh Wallace. While this position may have been viewed externally as that one that needs to be addressed by the Rams this spring, they elected not to draft a cornerback or acquire one via free agency or trade, reinforcing that the coaching staff liked the group that they had. Witherspoon, who re-signed this offseason, enters the 2025 season, having a full offseason to prepare for the regular season for the first time as a Ram. He and Williams bring plenty of experience, entering their 9th season and 8th seasons in the NFL respectively. Durant and Forbes both shine with their playmaking throughout training camp. Wallace played in all 17 regular season games, 3 starts, and both playoff games last year. Yeah, Josh Wallace was a guy who was also playing a little bit of safety too, kind of being a Quentin Lake-esque type of player with his versatility. Obviously a bit different, but these 5 guys make sense. Another practice squad candidate here is Cam Lampkin. I do think Cam Lampkin had a really good preseason. He was on the practice squad last year. He had an interception, and then he had one against the Browns that I thought was a pick. I did not think that was PI, and they turned that one away because it was pass interference. They overturned it, so definitely interesting there. But Lampkin was making plays all over the field. AJ Green, the corner, not the great Bengal, but the corner, AJ Green, looked really good too in the preseason. He was making some nice PBUs. He could be a practice squad candidate as well. He's been on multiple NFL teams, so both of those guys could be on the practice squad. Daron Kendrick as well was cut from this group. It makes sense coming off the injury. Maybe still a little bit rusty. They already actually cut him before training camp, and then they brought him back, which didn't make too much sense at the time, but he does not make this roster. Josh Wallace is making some nice tackles as well. I do like the Josh Wallace addition. And Emmanuel Forbes, the Rams have said also that they view him kind of as like a 4th starter. They really view themselves as having 4 starting caliber corners with Witherspoon, Williams, Durant, and Forbes. So Emmanuel Forbes, the former first-round pick, didn't really work out in Washington. Before the new ownership, they kind of just released him for nothing, couldn't even get anything for him. And we'll see how he is as a Ram. Maybe this is a hidden treasure that the Rams have. Comment down below your thoughts on this room. And the final position is safety. You got Cam Curl, Cam Kitchens, Quentin Lake, and Jalen McCullough. Continuity and depth is what sticks out amongst this group between Curl and Lake's experience and the emergence of Kitchens and McCullough during their rookie seasons, in which they led the team with 4 interceptions each. Yeah, both of those guys turnover machines. Quentin Lake, the versatile king, and Cam Curl needs to be better. I'll be honest, Cam Curl was not great in his first year as a Ram. I really liked the signing, but he was not great. And I do think he needs to be better this year. Again, another guy who can make the practice squad. The human missile, as Sean McVay called them all throughout that Browns game. Tanner Ingle was the guy who I also thought had a shot to make the team as a 5th safety. We know Chris Shula likes his safeties, but he decided not to keep Tanner Ingle. Well, not he specifically, but you know what I mean. The team decided not to keep Tanner Ingle. I think he is a prime practice squad candidate. Maybe even Nate Valcarcel, the undrafted rookie as well, had a decent preseason, could also be on the practice squad. And let me know down below as well who you think should be on the practice squad. Some good guys to get who the Rams just cut. For me, I got Cody Schrader, Tanner Ingle, Cam Lampkin, and Brendan Presley as my main guys who should be on this practice squad. And special teams are the same players as always. You know, you got Josh McCarty, Ethan Evans, and Alex Ward doing their thing over there. And people in the comments have been asking me about, do they think Coach Blackburn, special teams coordinator, will mix up kickoffs more with Ethan Evans and Josh McCarty? We've seen Ethan Evans struggle to make the landing zone while he's been trying to kick the ball shorter, and Josh McCarty is kind of as a kickoff guy for right now. Didn't look great in the preseason, so we will see how that goes. But I think they should mix it up if they can. And that is all for this episode of Rams Digest. Thank you very much for watching as always. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, be a part of the journey to 5K, turn on that notification bell, and click all so you get notified and never miss whenever we post our daily new Rams Digest video content covering all things Rams. Leave a like on this video for the 53-man rosters being released, and thanking everyone who showed up for training camp, because everyone tried to put their best foot forward, and we wish everyone the best of luck for their careers. And if you like this video, I've heard people who were unfortunately cut get put on teams faster, so make sure to like this video for that reason as well. Like this video for my fantasy draft. My fantasy football draft is tonight. Make sure to like this video for that. If you like this video, it's been told I have a better chance to win the league, as well as if you subscribe to the channel. And leave in the comments down below right now your thoughts on the roster overall, specifically the cuts of Chris Paul Jr. and Cody Schrader. Two really surprising moves, so leave that down below in the comments. Leave a like for regular season prep happening starting now as well. I've been your host, Joshua Finehirsh, as always. Thank you very much for watching another episode of Rams Digest. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you soon for another one, and have a great rest of your day.